producer Lilian Garcia. Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, speaker, and 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce WrestleMania and is now the PFL MMA cage announcer. And now she's giving you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes, extraordinary entertainers, and wellness experts. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Welcome to the entertainment capital of the world. That's right, it is Hollywood, or as some of us here say, Hollywood. That's right. Welcome to another edition of Chasing Glory. This is kind of my backyard because I do live in LA, so it's right up the street from where I live. I come to Hollywood quite a bit, and what you can always find in Hollywood pretty much are premieres, movie premieres. Right behind me is the famous Chinese theater, and of course right now they're having the movie premiere for Ferrari versus Ford, or is it Ford versus Ferrari? We will see who wins at the box office. So excited about that movie. All right, so Hollywood. Let's talk about Hollywood because it's got the famous Walk of Fame, the stars. Guess who the first star was? It was in 1960, and it was a woman. Yay! Okay, I'm being a little partial. But anyway, Joanne Woodward, she got the first star on the Walk of Fame. In fact, she was married to Paul Newman. Now, she won the Oscar that made her so famous, and so Joanne Woodward goes down as being the first female to have the star. But not just the first female, the first star to have a star on the Walk of Fame. Pretty cool. Okay, now let's go back even further. Let's go back to 1886. That is when H.J. Whitley, he bought these lands here. Now he was sitting atop of a hill and he was wondering, what do I call these new lands that I just purchased? Well, he was on his honeymoon. There was a Chinese man that came in his wagon. He was pushing his wagon, and so Whitley looked down at him. He goes, "What are you doing, sir?" The sir looked up and he goes, I Hollywood." He goes, "What?" "Oh, because of the accent. He was hauling wood." Well, right there, the epiphany came, and Whitley decided, that's what I'm going to call it, Hollywood. That's as simple as that. So thanks to the little Chinese man in the wagon hauling wood. All right, so Hollywood. It is so spectacular, but even more so at night because it comes just alive at night with all the lights, with all the glitz, with all the glam. As you can see, I've got the glam on. Don't forget that you can actually see this Chasing Glory on youtube.com/Lilian Garcia. You can also definitely follow the show at Chasing Glory on Instagram, and you can follow me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. Okay, so now let's go from Hollywood to Bollywood. Whoa, okay, I'm not doing it justice. Let's just say Bollywood, wow, okay, spectacular. The films there, in fact, Bollywood produces more films than Hollywood. Who would have believed that? And the costumes, incredible. It's just glitz, it's glam, it's dancing, it's just showbiz, it's amazing. And my guests today are that spectacular. They are amazing. They are glitz and glam because they are the Singh Brothers, Samir and Sunil. They are brothers. They are amazing because their chase for glory has not been glorious at all. But they continue, they strive, they keep going, they're at it. And now, 24/7 champs, that's right. So excited. As of producing this right now, they're 24/7 champs, but you know how that can happen. Oh yeah, and by the way, you always get these buses that constantly go by. Sightseeing buses. They don't stop. No. They also want to be part of this show. Everyone wants to be a part of Chasing Glory. There, they got their glory. All right, guys. Seriously, I'm very excited to bring these guys to you. So without further ado, from Hollywood to Bollywood, let's find out. This is Sunil and Samir's journey of Chasing Glory.
Growing up in Canada, the Singh brothers loved playing sports such as hockey, but they both knew they wanted to be professional wrestlers. Sunil Singh, being the older brother by 3 years, would get his start first before Samir Singh followed suit shortly after. Wanting to get as much experience as they could, the brothers would travel thousands of miles to get the absolute best expertise. From training with Rip Rogers at Ohio Valley Wrestling, to training at the famous Hart Dungeon, to attending the illustrious Harley Race Wrestling Academy in Missouri, nothing was going to stop them from achieving their dreams. Promoters would take notice, and the brothers would be invited to take part in the TNA-sponsored Ring Ka King promotion from India. They would be known as the Bollywood Boys, where they became the Ring Ka King Tag Team Champions. Their success would continue when they became the inaugural Global Force Wrestling Tag Team Champions, which they held before earning the opportunity of a lifetime. Both Sunil and Samir Singh took part in the first ever historic Cruiserweight Classic. Although they were both eliminated in the first round, they impressed officials and they would keep making appearances for the company. After signing full-time contracts with the WWE, they would take part in the second annual Dusty Rhodes Classic and participated in the first ever match of 205 Live. In the spring of 2017, the Singh brothers made their main roster debut when they helped Jinder Mahal win the #1 contenders match, and just a few weeks later, they were in his corner when he became the WWE Champion. The trio would be fixtures on SmackDown for the majority of the year before being moved to Monday Night Raw as part of the Superstar shakeup. An injury would sideline Jinder Mahal, which allowed the Singh brothers to branch out on their own, continuing to compete in 205 Live. On a recent episode of Raw, Sunil would pin R-Truth to become the WWE 24/7 champion. After 10 days, he would lose it back to R-Truth, only for Samir Singh to win the title right back after making them the first pair of brothers to ever win that championship. The sky's the limit for these two brothers that keep conquering adversity and showing they are here to stay. Get fired up, because it's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with the Singh Brothers.
Here we are, guys.
Finally made it.
It's
Thank
finally
you.
happening.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while.
So
We've
excited.
met you on live events, TVs, catering, everything except finally.
Chasing glory.
Yeah, exactly. We kept talking about it, so finally here.
Well, you know what? Timing is everything.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Yeah.
You were hurt for a while.
Yeah,
You poor brother.
yeah, making all the money. Poor brother.
Maybe he's not a poor brother.
Rich brother. Taking his payday.
And you're at home like, damn it.
I know, right?
What was it that you were hurt?
I tore my ACL. It was, yeah,
dude,
and
I've
it's-
had that.
Yeah, it's the
It's
worst.
the worst
It's
injury.
painful.
Tell her how it
long,
happened.
And like any injury is just I jumped out the ring.
Dumbest thing
Oh,
ever.
jumping out the ring.
Just jump. How many times have you done that? Like, you know,
Yeah.
like
We attack Bobby Roode, do our shebang, get out, and I look over and he's hunched over, and I knew right away. I'm like, he's legit.
you know, sometimes like you're like, oh, I could get you. You can like it was this pain, like the shock. Your body goes in shock. Like I didn't know what to do. Like
Yeah.
because you knew something's wrong.
Yeah, you know something's
And
wrong.
you're trying to get up and you just can't. Your body's like.
Yeah.
Like, and
I did mine skiing, actually.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's scary.
Caught the ski and the binding didn't come out. It was a brand new
Yeah.
ski that I was testing, and the guy just put the binding a little too tight.
Yeah.
And so when it went into the powder
Yeah.
and it twisted, I knew.
It happened.
Like, you just
you know it's not like a twist
like,
or
Oh!
your body goes in shock. Yeah.
I'm just laying there like,
Yeah.
what just happened? And
Is
then
it just ACL?
yeah, it was ACL, and then a few years later, it was meniscus.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to go back in.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And both were through the company while you were here, or?
no, well, yeah, because, but I was skiing,
Yeah,
obviously, I
yeah,
did
yeah.
it there, but I remember that I was out for 3 months because I couldn't get in the ring, because
Yeah.
you can't bend.
Yeah, yeah. You
It
can't.
took me, now I don't know how long it took it, and the younger you are, the faster it is.
Yeah.
But it took me 5 weeks to go around before the bike.
Same. Yeah, I remember John, who works at the Performance Center, I just couldn't do the bike. And he's like, get on there and do it. Like, because I just.
So painful.
And it's, I can't even begin to explain. They say knee surgeries are.
So
Like, I
painful.
mean, there's neck injuries and all that, but I guess compared to like shoulders and all that.
Come on,
it's just-
guys. I've had shoulder surgery. Come on.
Yeah,
But I
this
know.
was
Standing on your own.
I had literally like a towel in my mouth.
Oh, wow.
While I was screaming
And they're
to
bending
go around,
you. Oh,
to
it's-
be able to
yeah,
go around that
it's
bike
brutal.
finally.
It's brutal.
You know?
It's
yeah.
brutal. And you can't. the worst is you're just in bed like for 5, 6, 7 weeks. You can't like walk around.
I know. I had crutches and stuff.
And the night that his injury happened, like it was a packed show, and we had like 3 segments, and he came back and he's like telling the doc, "No, I can go. Yeah. They're like,
Of course
"No,
you are.
no." We're like, "No, yes, he can. He'll roll out of the ring if he has to."
I just want to get beat up, right?
Yeah. Let me make in so I can get
Just
hurt
bumped
in
around.
another way. How long did it take you for to come back?
It took me pretty much exactly 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point where there's no point rushing it. You know, you might as well
Right.
just get 100% and then
Right.
come back. And then a lot of it was like when we started working live events, it was the mental thing. I'm like, you know, like you're
Oh
like,
yeah. For 2 years, I could feel it.
yeah. No, still like, you know, even now, like I know you need to maintain it, like ice it, and stretching is so important.
I always remind
Yeah.
him too. I'm like, "Hey, make sure that brace is on strapped on tight."
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a blessing in everything, and there was a blessing in that. So.
What was your blessing in that? What'd you find?
To enjoy it more. I think when you get signed to your dream job and you're like, okay, I need to do it, I need to do this, and you have dreams and aspirations, and you forget to enjoy it, have fun, and that reminded me it could be taken anyway. It could be gone in a second, and I remember I was very emotional, but it took me a long time to be like, okay, I'm living my dream, let me just enjoy it, because you never know when it's going to be over. And you know, it could be over for so many reasons. And then what are you going to do? Like, oh, I wish I enjoyed it more. So now it's like, even with live events or at TVs, like, yeah, you know, this is fun, and you know, you try
So
to.
what a blessing.
Yeah, no, and I needed it.
Seriously.
I needed it. You know.
Were you getting frustrated? And
I
that kind
don't
of
think
stuff?
it was frustration. It was more along the lines like you're on the road 4 days a week, third day's a travel day, 2 days off, and you're back on the road. You kind of forget you're doing your dream job. You're just in the forest. And I remember Adam Edge, who, when we got signed, I remember him telling us, he's like, learn to enjoy it, because once you're in the forest, you're so deep in, then one day you're gonna look back like, wow, did I do this?
Right.
And he was so right, because even like 2 years in, you're just going.
You go,
You know,
next
and
town, this and that, yeah.
You're just like, and then you're like, wow, I did even like, it's been
Yeah.
cool to travel the world.
And even for us, sometimes we'll be talking like, can you believe it's already been 3 years for us, including CWC,
Yeah.
NXT, 205, and with
Yeah.
this run with Jinder, it's like 3 years already. It's like time just flies here.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah, just you forget to have fun sometimes, and that was, for me, it was like, okay, let's have fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
Great lesson that you're getting ready. I mean, that you've been able to kind of learn that through him, through his experience,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. Because like when his injury took place, we're at the peak. I think.
What Jinder's
with Jinder.
run.
Yeah.
Jinder was still champ. The U.S. title was in the picture, and we were basically on a champion schedule, going place to place, country to country, state to state. And even Jinder told us, he's like, man, you guys, this is gonna go by so fast.
And he's a perfect example
Yeah.
of knowing the highs and the
And the-
lows. And the,
yeah.
yeah.
And then just
I mean,
again,
again, like I remember looking, it was like China, India, Japan, like you literally are like Europe, Argentina, like everywhere.
Yeah.
You just go. You'd go home, do laundry. And again, it was a champion schedule. I don't think I'd ever be on that schedule ever again, unless you have this,
Yeah.
amazing run, but it was like, yeah, that's why when the injury happens, like, okay, it's okay to have fun and enjoy it and just,
embrace it. And
Were you able to have fun at home too, like doing things that you normally don't have time to do?
What was funny though is like, this is all we've ever wanted, and then when it finally happened, like I wish I had like college friends and high school friends. I don't it's like this is all we did for the last 10
Yeah.
years, and so it's like we're just so into this world, and so when you do go home now, you're like, I don't know if that's I don't know if
What do
that's
I
like
do? Who do I hang out
I don't
with?
have like friends like that,
Yeah.
and
Because growing
it's
up, it was just him and I, right? And
Yeah.
this is the dream we had together. So to your point, it's like when you go home, you just want to disconnect and just lay low.
And that's where I think we have to find that, okay, like,
What's
it's
that-
okay to have a life outside of this and have fun. I think we're trying to figure that out sometimes, where it's
Yes.
like, this is all you've ever wanted
Yeah.
to do.
And his
Yes.
rehab was all in Orlando,
Yeah.
right? So he wasn't technically home. So
Right.
home for us is Vancouver. So
Yeah.
for him, it was just like he's by himself training, and I'm on the road. I remember calling him on some of the drives, like, dude, you need to come back because the road is very lonely,
Aw.
especially when you're driving, 300
Were you
miles.
by yourself?
For the most part, right? Like
Yeah.
me and Jinder would ride, but there would be some nights when I'll be riding on my own as well, because it happens, right?
Yeah.
And just for us, we're such creative guys that have so many ideas, and that rides go by faster when you're shooting
Yeah.
ideas back and forth. Hey man, when we start working, maybe we can do this, or maybe when we
Right.
start, rocking and rolling, we can do that. So
I know, because I used to ride with Trish.
Yeah.
And Stratus.
Yeah.
And then
Fellow Canadian.
when she was out, or she was out, I think, some injuries or whatever. I was riding by myself, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, oh my God, it does take a long time. When she left, and I pretty much rode by myself, it does.
Yeah.
Just endless lines, right?
I would like fall asleep. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna make the trip? Yeah. It was crazy.
But I mean, we've learned so much in the last 3 years, and I think everything that happened was a blessing because now we're on our second inning in WWE. We're wrestling now, so it's good to have all these experiences already.
Yeah.
Because hopefully, God willing, it's more to come. And
right.
One thing for sure, I know every time I get on a plane, I'm always like, thank you God for letting me live my dream.
That's beautiful.
That's it. That's like people talk about the schedule and the flying. People always ask me, do you ever get tired of the flying and the driving? I'm like, no, because I'm living my dream at the end of the day. I get on a plane, I grab my seat, thank you.
Yeah, we were talking about this actually. Like, our dad was a bus driver, and he still is, 35 years driving a bus.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's the most blue-collar job you can think, one of the most blue-collar jobs you can think of. Every morning, 3:30 a.m., drive a bus for 12 hours, come home, tired, feet swollen. Like, we saw this since we were kids, and now we're like, that's hard work.
Yeah,
like, building
compared.
roads is hard work, like in the sun. Yeah. Like, we're on a plane, flying, and you gotta remember, like, wow, like, our dad, like, busted his butt for years.
Perspective.
Driving taxis, like, being a janitor, and like, that's real
But then
hard
you also
work.
remember the stuff you did to get to where you are as well.
Yeah.
Like the long ride during the indie shows, or like being from Canada, you would ride on frozen lakes to get one town to the next, right? Doing these hell tours up in northern Manitoba, where only way you can get from one show to the next show is driving over frozen lakes. Like Edge, Christian, Jericho, they all did this tour. They would talk about it and see them talk about it. We did it. So it's just like small things you pick up on, and you're like, man, like, we did all that to get to where we are now.
And now we get to fly, right?
And now you get to fly. So now you're like,
don't have to drive over a frozen lake anymore.
Shut up if I ever try to like
It's all
complain.
about collecting those miles.
Right. Oh my God. How special has it been for the two of you as brothers to be doing this? First of all, you're my first siblings.
Yes.
My first siblings on Chasing Glory.
Canadian siblings.
And that too.
I think it's been, I like, it's just having that confidant, best friend on the road, which is so important because, again, like, going back to, it does get lonely and long, and just being able to, even if we fight, at the end of the day,
We're gonna patch it up.
you're gonna patch it up, where it's like, we have a common goal, common interest, and we're doing it together since like
18, 17
years, dreaming about it as kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have all this, and it's nice to have that.
For
Plus,
sure.
with a sibling, you know that
no matter what,
really have your back.
And the in this business, it's such a cutthroat business. Everyone's looking out for themselves. So like, to your point, we have each other's back no matter what. And whatever decision's made, we will ask each other, hey, like, do you feel comfortable doing this, and vice versa. So it's definitely has its pros.
And the con?
Just seeing each other too much.
That's funny though. Like, when I came back from my injury, the first thing we both agreed on, like, we'll get our own hotel rooms.
no more sharing rooms.
Because you're just trying to save money and like to split a room. But we're driving together, working out together at the arena together. Like, at least at
11
night,
o'clock, let's just split.
like, and it's so important. And it's just, you need that, like, by your own time.
Yeah,
you need it. Like,
you need it.
Any relationship.
Absolutely.
Right?
I can't imagine doing all of that with my husband. Well, we do live together, but we don't travel together.
Eventually you do need that. Okay, like, this is my.
But this is all we ever wanted, straight up. Like,
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the
all we
journey.
ever wanted.
Right. So, I mean, Canada, is it because one of your parents left, or your parents both left?
No, so both our parents are from India.
They immigrated in 1969 to Toronto, actually, where we're filming this.
Okay.
And then he moved out to Vancouver because of family. And he basically, every job you can think of being an immigrant, he's done. He tells a story how he used to sleep on, he didn't have enough money to buy a pillow, so he used to sleep on phone books.
Oh,
yeah,
lovely.
and you're talking about, like,
oh my God! Now tonight I'll be in my
I know. And there's like
right?
he's driven taxi. He's been a janitor. You can name it, immigrant parent. Trying to just make ends meet, bring his wife over. Start a family, and even sometimes, like, when you think, like, this guy built a house, in Vancouver, like, being an immigrant, and like, no matter what we ever do, we could never, reach that level of starting from nothing, and having a house. So that's our dad's journey here, and then basically
It's almost like whatever we do now is like for our parents in a
Yeah.
way. It's like repaying, rewarding them. Like, hey, like thank you so much for being there for us and helping us along the way. This is our reward. Like, and the cool thing is, like, ever since we were kids, like being Canadian kids, obviously played ice hockey growing up. So we had that dream of
I think that was the first dream.
maybe being Wayne Gretzky or
That was-
whatever.
yeah.
No, I think that was that's like
Well, that's Canadian
winning,
thing for sure.
win a
Yeah.
Stanley Cup, and then by the time you're 12, you realize you're not doing that.
And even like when we wanted to get into this business, they were like, as long as you have a backup plan, something to fall back on, we're 100% behind you guys, right? So like, I remember moving to Calgary when I was 18, just before the Harts sold their house in Calgary, and training in the dungeon. And my dad flew down with me just to make sure I got settled in and taken care of. That was my first time moving out of the house as well, right? So
big step.
Yeah, first day of practice in Calgary.
How'd you feel when he left?
I was still, I was thinking grade 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And I think I was supposed to go down the following year, but
had
but
just
I was
sold
just so
us.
excited. I'm like, look, this our dreams are about to begin, right? Like
This
he
is
was-
like before, like obviously the way the company or everything is working out now. This is like when you were actually mail out a letter and hey, you get a letter back saying, okay, we'll train you for $2,500 US.
It's like all the scam. You don't know anything. Right?
Yeah.
The internet was
Right.
like, it was hard to still find a lot of things online. Where
Yeah.
you got like
We would go on
scam.
WWE, like OVW Wrestling and like make sure like go email our stuff there. And then finally, obviously getting started in Calgary was a blessing. And then once they shut down, found a school in Vancouver, just got up rocking and rolling. He wasn't too far behind. Like he started like 4 months after me. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we started training
Okay.
together right away pretty much.
What was it about it? What was it about wrestling that caught your eye?
I think I'd have to say.
I mean, do you
Bret Hart.
remember
Bret,
like?
I was literally going to say Bret Hart. Like honestly, I know that sounds like, I just remember him as a kid with the pink sunglasses, and it was just like, this is the coolest thing.
Yeah,
Were
Bret and
people
Shawn.
talking about it a lot in Canada?
Well, Bret was like, even by like I remember 92, 93,
Yeah.
like by then he's already kind of like the most famous Canadian.
Yeah.
And he was like in newspapers, and like this is like the coolest thing
Yeah,
ever.
I remember seeing Bret, Shawn specifically. Those two were the guys that we idolized growing up, and like watching them and just seeing how their whole charisma, their personality.
As a kid, you don't know like
Yeah.
spots or wrestling. You just think, oh, he looks so cool.
Yeah.
That's what draws you as a
Right.
kid.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what drew us to him. And then as you start understanding, like he was like such a baby face. And again, like I don't know how kids feel nowadays about like the baby faces, but I remember Bret was like the epitome of baby faces, talking about family and values, and like it's just like the coolest thing to hear. And I think he was a great role model.
And then
to
once we
kids.
started high school, here comes Stone Cold, here comes The Rock, and all these, bigger
Yeah,
than
the
life
Attitude Era
superstars. And
kicked in.
we watched that and it's like just mesmerized by the whole
And I
thing.
think a lot of things, it was like, I remember just watching, again, going back to our parents, it would be Saturday morning, they'd be sitting with us. Like it's that
Yeah.
family tie, like, we're just watching wrestling, and
It was either hockey or wrestling we were watching.
Yeah.
Or Bollywood movies.
And your parents supported you from the get-go?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've been very blessed where they never said, like, you can't do it,
Yeah.
and they're,
Especially being East Indian kids,
Yeah.
a lot of families force their children, hey, be a doctor, be an engineer, be a lawyer, like, the stereotypical jobs that you see most Indians doing. But our parents were always like, hey, whatever you guys want to do, just as long as you put your full effort, 100% we're behind you guys. So even like I said, hockey, like, hockey's not a cheap sport. It's a very expensive sport, especially trying to get 2 kids to play hockey,
Right.
and that obviously was what it was. And then wrestling is like such a far-fetched dream. Like so many people try, but so many people give up or fail.
Yeah.
And they were just like, they always believed, they were like, no, you guys, as long as you guys keep pushing, you guys will get there. So
Oh, so they encouraged it.
yeah, and I think
100%.
every few years something, like, we would, like, go on tours, or it'd be cool, like, whether we go to Europe for a tour, and, like, it seemed exciting to them that they're
Yeah.
doing stuff. And we weren't, like, just lazy sitting, in the basement, like, doing...
Playing a video game.
Yeah, playing a video game. Like,
Yeah.
we'd always be, like, even we weren't making much money, we'd be very busy. And I think they saw that effort. They're like, they're not just, no, I don't want to do anything. They're like, okay, they're working really hard. So they kept encouraging it. And even when we had our downtimes, again, our dad would be like, you have your entire life to work. This is your time to achieve your dreams and go after what your potential is.
That's awesome.
And they never stopped us. And I think that comes from, because he was, doing a blue collar job. He's like, you could always do a blue collar job, but this is
Yeah.
the time to do, like, 10 years from now, you could do a blue collar job.
Right,
Like, now's your
right.
time to see what you can truly accomplish in your youth.
What did he want to be? Did he
That was
ever
funny.
share that with you?
As my brother was saying all that, I'm like, you know what? I think, wanted to be a Bollywood actor. 100%.
So I remember
Yeah.
specifically a story, like, because I mean we could get into it later why I went to India. I remember I was like, in grade 6. I remember massaging my dad's legs, and he was a little, tipsy.
Yeah.
And he just started talking, and he's like, I wish I went to Mumbai. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember he's like, I wish I went to Mumbai and tried to get into movies. And that was his biggest regret, because he's like, I just drove a bus for 35 years. He's like, no one's gonna remember that.
Oh,
You know, and
it
I
breaks
don't,
your heart.
yeah, I don't think he ever remembers that, but I remember it, and it's, I'll never forget that.
Have you talked to him about that?
I haven't, no.
You need to just
Yeah.
talk to him, just say, I want you to know that you made an impression on me,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
that young, by sharing that
Yeah.
story and
it's-
telling me that.
it's
But I
crazy.
100%, both our parents are proud of us. Like, you know,
Yeah.
they're,
Well, he's kind of also living
Living
it through
vicariously
you
through- yeah,
now,
100%.
too,
Yeah.
which is great.
No.
What about your mom? Is she Canadian?
No,
Did
from
they-
India as well.
Oh, and
Yeah.
where did they meet? Like, they came together?
They had an arranged
They
marriage.
arranged marriage.
Like most Indian,
yeah.
it was just like,
Do
hey,
they still do that?
Not as much.
So you can still pick
Yeah,
your
I
own
mean,
people?
I think
Yeah.
it's more
Your
like
own-
blind dating now,
Yeah.
where families set up. You
I
know,
would love marriage. So my wife, you know, her and I actually met in Toronto. She is from Toronto. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but our parents, you know, back in the 70s, arranged marriage.
But so you were not arranged?
No.
Okay. And you?
I'm still just enjoying
Single?
life.
Okay. And if they wanted to arrange marriage, would you be
It's not as forced. No,
You know, I think that's a
I
misconception
think people are
nowadays,
very
where it's
laid
like-
back now. It's not as like, hey, like this is 1981, where
you have to be here.
This is the man of your dreams. You know, it's not like that anymore. Parents have understood. Everyone's, you know, moving forward. You know,
But how
that
does it work for
mentality.
them, for your parents?
It was, I think from what I remember, it was just like they were told, hey, this is the person, and they showed each other's pictures.
But their parents knew each other, so that was kind of the icebreaker.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
so
and that's how
I think
most-
our mom's dad knew our dad's dad.
So,
it was like a mutual.
But did they ever talk to you, like, did they instantly like each other, or did they have to grow into a
I think
love?
it was more like you fall in love over
Yeah,
time.
it was
But
more
like
of
our
those-
grandparents, I know was like they meet till the wedding day. Like that's the old school. Like
Crazy!
yeah, like that's the.
And 100% true. Like honestly, like
They didn't.
if anybody from that generation, like our grandparents' generation in India, like most people, they were like, the wives would be like 16, 17, the husbands would be 20, 21, so it's very young age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different mentality.
I think
back then.
nowadays, again, it's more like blind dating. It's not like, I know friends who've had arranged marriages where it's like they go out for a couple of years now
Yeah.
before the marriage, but like that old school mentality really doesn't
So
exist.
what happens if they go out during that time, it's arranged, but things are not going good? They're not working out. Do you still have to marry?
I don't think so. Not nowadays.
Yeah,
I don't think
nowadays
so.
it's
I
a
think it's a
lot
lot
different.
different.
Good.
You'll find it's
Yeah.
like that's the old school stories
The
of
old
like
school mentality, like again, like going
Yeah.
back 30 years is a lot different. Like you're almost forced to marry that person, and
Yeah.
like what would the outsiders think if you don't?
Yeah.
Now it's, you know, we're in 2019.
Isn't that crazy how
Yeah.
much we live
And it-
for what somebody else might think of
Yeah.
us?
It's for the better, you know, like the way
Which
it
is
is
just-
now.
and even
Yeah.
how
You
many
know,
people like do jobs because it's not acceptable to society or the
Right.
parents might think, and
Yeah.
it's that's even that plays
Yeah.
a big part. And we were again lucky that it was like I know all my friends are either somewhere in like the medical field or whatever.
Which is great. What I'm trying to say is that like no one's being forced into anything anymore.
Right.
You know, like that.
Because we still need doctors and lawyers
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah,
So if
yeah,
you want to be
yeah.
that, great.
Yeah, yeah. But like
You wanna be a wrestler?
marriages or
Awesome.
like who you date, that's kind of like up to you now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly, like people have struggled to be where we are now.
Right,
So
right.
I'm very happy the way our society's thinking, and especially in India, where in some areas, some villages, it's still like 1965. You know.
I mean, speaking of that, we get like even just today we had people from India who came up to us. They're like, "You guys are, such inspirations to
Yeah.
us," and we don't see it ourselves like that still. But to see like, because there's very few Indians who have made it even this far, or like Jinder or whatever, and
Kali.
like
Yeah.
Kali, and there's only been a few of us.
Right,
And
handful.
I hope what we're doing is inspiring more Indians to be like, okay, it is okay to go out of that realm and
Yeah.
get into acting or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and to be.
Chase your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chase your glory. You
Yeah,
know,
chase your
like,
glory,
100%,
exactly.
Like that's,
Exactly.
and that's the best thing about what we do now is like you realize there are so many children and young kids out in India in small villages that see us as like, oh my God, these guys are living our dream. We can do it. So we give people hope.
Yeah.
That's
Have
the
you
ma-
guys been to India?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
many
As WWE Superstars?
WWE and like because our parents, like I said, are
Well, I
back
mean,
home
Yeah.
in India.
Delhi trip
Yeah,
we did, what was it, 2 years ago now?
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably like,
How was that?
I don't consider myself this major star, but I mean, that was the closest thing to feeling like the Beatles. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like, oh my God, like this is truly what you think of like when WWE
Is that when
Superstar.
when you were with
And
Jinder?
Jinder and Hunter, they wrestled, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
just being out there and like leading up to a couple of
Like
days
the
of
media
yeah,
and all that. It was just like, wow, you didn't realize how much of an impression you've left
Yeah. and
already, and just
That's
being out
awesome.
there just
And again, it just seeing children like come up to us, be like, hey, like this is how do we get into WWE? And we still get those messages on Instagram or whatever, like, you know, sir, please, can we get to WWE? It's like, obviously they don't understand how hard it is to get here.
Yeah.
And they just need someone to guide them.
So let's go back to that. Going back to your training, going back to choosing, you know, to do this. Tell me about that journey and how hard and the struggle is.
I mean, I think for us, like we emulated a lot of the Canadian guys like Edge and Christian, and okay, like because they were more in our era. Like Bret Hart era was different, was territories. So we're like, I remember being in grade 11 buying Edge's book, and I wrote down every tour he did, and when we started wrestling, I pulled out that paper. I'm like, okay, I got to do these tours. So going to the Maritimes, and the biggest thing was doing the Northern Hell tour, the Tony Condello Death Tour, where you basically pack 3 weeks worth of food and you drive up 72 hours into the middle of nowhere, and you just wrestle on reserves. And it's called the Death Tour for a reason.
I've never heard of this.
You were on the road with Adam. You never talked about it? Yeah. You
No.
You gotta ask him about it, because it is the hardest tour. It's basically
one of the hardest tours for sure.
What could compare to that?
Yeah,
There's nothing you could compare to that. You're literally driving on frozen lakes for hours. Like we're talking about 40, 50 hours a day to get to the next town, and you have to pack all your food because when you go to the northern Canada, the reserves, they get tax breaks, so we don't get those. So like a liter of milk is $20. So you'd go broke.
Everything double the price.
So you have to buy all your food beforehand, which is only like canned food,
craft
because you
dinner.
can't. You're on the road for 3 weeks, so you put them in hockey bags, and you literally just drive on frozen lakes for 3 weeks.
And this promoter, Tony Condello, has been doing this for like 30 years.
And then there's no hotels, you sleep in the ring.
Or like you bring your sleeping bag, sleep in the ring on gymnasium floor.
Like in the schools. And it's just...
Wow. What'd you learn from that?
How much we love it. Like, it's easy to love this when you got like...
Like no one's gonna applaud you for it. It's more like a badge of honor. Like, hey, I did this to get to where we are. And again, it was to emulate the people that got to the WWE in the late 90s, like Adam and Jay and those guys. And they did it, so we're as young teens breaking in, we were like, hey, if they did it to get to where they are, maybe if we do these tours, we'll get noticed and we'll make it to the WWE. You know, and it's cool to tell.
Did it work?
I guess so.
I mean, is that how it kind of led to this?
I mean, I think it's just a matter of like, it's just a process of elimination, you know, like, okay, I've done this tour now. And then I remember getting in my car, and one year I drove, I think it was 59,000 kilometers by car across Canada.
What?
I remember driving from Vancouver to Toronto, and I wrestled in every province on the way. And you make like $5.
Wait, you sound like you were by yourself.
Yeah,
this tour I did by myself.
I don't know where I was.
I don't know.
This is like,
maybe you had college or something?
no, I don't know. It was probably something else.
A girl, maybe.
But I mean, he's done those too on separate occasions, and like and it's just like you're literally like, you look at Canada on a map, it's the second largest landmass, and we'd go from one end to the other and literally wrestle in every province. And sleeping in your car. I remember sleeping in my car and outside of a gas station in Regina in minus 70 weather.
Wow.
Yeah.
Minus 70?
Minus 70 with the wind chill. It was.
So how, you just kept your car on?
No, it was like literally bundle, and there was another wrestler, and we're literally like
attached to each other
attached.
for the heat.
We were bundled up like there was no tomorrow.
But it's still freezing.
It's freezing. It's freezing. You couldn't sleep, and you're just waiting for the gas station to open.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan's like one of the coldest provinces out there.
Well, my husband's from Winnipeg.
Oh, is he?
Really?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
And so he took me to Winnipeg in one December, which he thought was going to be so romantic, to take me there for Christmas, and then take me on a like little sleigh ride. Out in the freezing cold, this little, you know, had a little blanket, and of course the horse pulling it. And I looked at him and I said, I'm sure you wanted this to be romantic, but I'm like,
can we just go home?
I can't.
Winterpeg.
Winterpeg, you said it.
100%.
It is so cold.
Even the summers are cold.
Yes, I don't know how
brutal.
you guys even just handle Canada.
Well, where we're from Vancouver, they call that the black hole of wrestling. You know, there's a lot of talent in that area, and like, we were lucky that we kind of got out of there by just honestly just hustling the old school way. Like, for us, obviously crossing the border was a big thing, and we never wanted to get pinched without visas. So for us, we were going to camps wherever we saw like talent relations department members will be there. I remember going to Harley Races camp 2 years straight just so we can be in front of the higher ups, and then we went to like the OVW camps, FCW camps, wherever we could to get noticed. And I think a lot of those camps and networking with people along the way help us where we are today.
Yeah.
Because some of the people we met along the way are, you know, still the people that we talk to, and
Oh, that's great.
you know, it's cool in
So
that
it's like,
sense.
speaking of the black hole, like, because there's nothing happening in Vancouver, like no tryouts really happened there, and so it was 2008 where
Sure, yeah.
we were like, we need to somehow
Yeah.
get noticed. So we saw Raw was coming to Toronto, right here,
Mm-hmm.
and so what we bought a one-way ticket from Vancouver to Toronto. It was expensive, it was like $1,000 each, and we weren't booked, and we just came to Air Canada Centre, Scotiabank Arena, and we went up to security and we're like,
Yeah,
we're here.
Talent relations
And they're
booked
like, are you
us.
sure? And we lied to security. So,
Yeah.
dude, this massive building, they let us through, go
Yeah.
downstairs, and we're standing there, don't know what to do, don't know where to go, and handing out promo packages backstage to
We had
like
our 8x10s.
Brooklyn Brawler,
Yeah,
talent
yeah, yeah,
relations,
yeah.
you know, like just pretty much everybody walking by. I
Oh my
remember
God.
That happened right here, and like literally, I remember.
so we're handing out these promo packages, and then they're finally like, you guys aren't booked. And right, they're like, you gotta go.
Yeah,
They're like,
go wait in the extra room, dressing room, and then we'll figure out what we want to do with you guys. And then finally, next thing you know, like, you guys have to
got kicked
hit
out.
the road, kids.
Kicked out.
But it was
Yeah.
cool. On the way out, we bumped into Jericho.
Yeah.
And this is where like things all tied together eventually, and we told them who we were and how we done the
He's like,
tours
what are you
with.
guys doing here?
Yeah, Tony Condello, and he kind of got his break with Tony Condello, and so we kind of like
Talked
bonded, and he
about
loved our story that we just lied and showed down. He gave us his emails, like stay in touch. So over the years, we used to send him matches, and he used to kind of give us feedback. So it's like we got that was the
Nice.
plus out of that. You know what I mean? Like, so you put in the groundwork.
Yeah.
Here, and like you know, you
$1,000 paid off.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, just to get a contact with a guy like him.
Yeah.
Totally.
And over the years, it wasn't like just one line emails. It was like literally like pages full of like feedback for our matches. And he would give us ideas like, hey, you know what? Instead of sending them a 20-minute match, send them the best of with some music behind it, and that would
Yeah.
be way better. And stuff like that helped us along the way. And like, you know,
And then he gave the idea to go to Europe because
Yeah.
he did that. He's like, just buy a ticket and go to Europe.
Yeah.
And you're not making money anyways, so it's like trying to be an actor. It's like
Yeah.
no one's gonna fly you out for an audition. You know,
Right.
you got to go to LA and prove your work. So I remember we went to Europe and just bought
Where?
a ticket. So I worked with the Knight family. I was out there for a couple of weeks, just because Jericho's like, try that. So that was another thing.
What country?
Norwich, England.
Okay.
Yeah, and so again, just another chapter in the book. Okay, let's go try this route.
Yeah.
You know, done the hell tours, snuck into an arena, done the camps. Okay, let's go to Europe. Okay, that really didn't work. What's next? So that was like 10 years of like, what's next, right? Like
Right.
trying to like just cross off things like, okay, that didn't really work. What else can we try? Right, and that was pretty much the process.
yeah, it was just like, and again, here we are, like when we were NXT talent, that's where our NXT contracts got switched over to main roster contracts here in Toronto. We're the Scotiabank Center. Right?
Wow, so
it's
Toronto's like a-
yeah, Toronto's a
Yeah.
hotbed.
Awesome.
It's, you know, again, like, you know, I remember when my girlfriend, now my wife,
Yeah.
she came and dropped us off for that, and I had to make a call to her, like, can you come pick us back up? We're not really booked, right? So, you know, it was like, I remember walking up the stands through the fans, and like, we didn't know how to get out of the building. It's just, we just snuck in, right?
Yeah.
So again, like to my brother's point, small, you know, moments like that made us stronger in a way. It's like, okay, this didn't work out, but at least we tried. We're
Yeah.
leaving no stone unturned, right?
Yeah.
So walking out, and then, okay, what did we do next? And, you know, I remember specifically back then, it's like people would like look at you like, oh, why you guys don't be flying down with and paying your way. It's like sometimes you gotta spend a little to get a little.
Absolutely.
Right? And I
have to.
You know, I know that mentality of don't, you know, go out there on your own, like, but you have to. If
You have to.
Right? And years later, we sometimes laugh about it. Like, can you believe that stuff that we did 14 years ago to where we are now? It's just like every moment has come back in full circle for us.
So what was the toughest thing going through all those journeys? What were the things, were there those moments of doubts of, damn, are we really supposed to be doing this?
You have your insecurities. Like you probably kind of have to put up a brave front and like talk to yourself and be like, I think I'll make it. But and deep in your mind, sometimes there is that. I think it's good to have insecurity though. You know, like if it's comes from a good place,
Yeah.
it can drive you, or it can really be a
Well, those
detriment.
insecurities also made us stronger. Like I remember when we were booked as extra talent for like a show in Portland, and we saw a moment, like literally 30 seconds, we saw Hunter standing there by himself on the phone, and we're like, yo man, like we either go talk to him or we missed this opportunity. And we go up to him like, hey, we wrestle like the Bollywood boys.
So the cool thing about that, like, you know how everything ties up together.
Yeah.
Years ago, we met Jericho, and one thing you remember, he told us, he's like, have a elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Have a 30-second elevator pitch. They use that term in acting, where
Yep.
if you get stuck in an elevator with a producer, be like, hey, this is who I am, and like
And not ramble.
Yeah,
Literally.
like a clear, concise who I am.
Who I am.
And so, like, you're at TVs and everybody's so busy. What are the chances at Triple H you just catch them?
Yeah.
And we're like just indie talent,
Yeah.
you know? And I remember Triple H on his phone, we were just like, we're the Bollywood boys.
Yeah.
This is how we can make you money in the Indian market. You know, we knew what we can offer and we boom, 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 boom. And
He's like, I know who you guys are.
He did?
Yeah.
And the turning point was where he was like, you're doing this Bollywood character. Why not go to India and try to become Bollywood actors? As soon as he said that.
This guy literally packed up his bags 4 weeks later and
I moved to India. Like going into Bollywood,
Yeah.
like no connections. I don't know really how to act, nothing. I'm like, this is a man who's obviously made money.
Okay.
You know, he's kind of like knows what he's talking
He's
about.
the head of talent relations, right? You know,
Right,
so-
right.
And I read the book The Alchemist. I don't know if you've read
I
it.
love that book.
Yeah, so they talk
Love
about
it.
omens.
Yeah.
You know, and reading signs. So I felt like that was a sign from God telling
Okay.
me this is your next step. You know, I've done the hell tours, I've done all that. That's not working. Maybe I need to expand. And so
Okay.
as soon as he said that, literally we're like, hey, should I do this?
Yeah, well, I'm like, okay, I'll hold down the indie
wrestling
stuff.
side.
You go try that.
Okay.
So I was doing my indie shots. He was up in Mumbai.
And so
How did it go?
Literally,
Tell
like,
me that experience.
oh my God, like like I can't even begin to explain you. Even though we have family there, it's like you go from Canada to a little bit of a third world place where so much poverty. You see people with leprosy on the street. Your quality of life drastically drops because you go from living at home to living in a single bedroom apartment with 5 people in India.
Yeah, that you don't know.
You don't know where the water shuts for half the day and you have to shower half the day, and then you're doing basically the actor struggle. You know, you're waking up in the morning, print out a couple of pictures, and you go from director to director, knocking on doors like, sir, can you please, and then they call you for an audition next, and you're like, okay, you have no idea what's going on. You're in India, you're trying to be an actor now. And it was
All for that one break.
All for just like, now I'm trying to be a Bollywood actor. Which is even harder probably in many ways to be a WWE superstar, Like
There are a billion people trying to be an actor out there.
I'm just literally, in a rickshaw every day. You have to have like 3 changes of clothes because it's so hot. And you're just sweating through your shirts, and you're doing these cattle call auditions where you're just like literally like in rooms like this where there's like 200 kids just lined up, and next, come give an audition, and next, and no feedback, nothing. You're like, oh my God, what am I doing? And you're just now this starving artist, right?
Right.
And so then I started, and my mom was like, try to meet this actor by the name of Akshay Kumar, kind of like the Tom Cruise of Bollywood. And it's like, okay, like, how do I go meet this guy? Like,
right.
But here's the weird thing again, omens. Like we were in The Alchemist, like my mom put it into the universe. And next thing you know, like 3 weeks later, they're like, there's this fight movie happening and they need some fighters. And Akshay Kumar is the lead actor. And I just end up going to this audition and I land the role. And initially it was a really small role, but then eventually it turned into a bigger one. I'm like, oh my God, this might be my break, because if this guy sees me, you never know, right? And so I got a chance to work with this Bollywood actor for like 3 weeks, built a little bit of a rapport, and I remember I finished my take, and it was, we were filming on the streets of Mumbai, because I was like a street fighter, and I was barefoot. And they're like, okay, Akshay's leaving. And he goes to his vanity van, and he's got this whole security. And this lady, she was like, yo, you want to go meet Akshay? Now's your time. And I don't want to I don't want to over dramatic it, but I ran on the streets of Mumbai barefoot, like sprinting down the streets, go to his vanity van, knock on his door. He lets me in. I remember, Lilian, I was on my knees, like tears in my eyes. I'm like, please give me a break. And I showed him my pictures and like, I need a break in life because I'm almost 30, no job, like I need to make it in life. And he was like, I think you should go back and focus on your wrestling, because like Bollywood's just too hard. It's everybody's paying money to get launched in movies. Like nobody's really getting like, hey, let me give you an opportunity. Like it's just like this nepotism. Like people are just handing each other work. And he's like, you're gonna waste your time here. He's like, so go back. And I was like a little defeated, but I'm like, again, omen, listening to the signs.
But it was that scene that he did with Akshay, the music videos that he did in India, which we compiled together, sent an email back to Talent Relations, like, hey, so since we last spoke to you guys, which is like a year and a half ago, this is what we've done.
How long were you there?
But
collectively, I went 2 separate trips. It was 3 years almost.
Wow.
Yeah. So in
Okay.
between those 3 years, between meeting Hunter and everything, getting that, hey, go to India, we put everything together, we sent it, and literally it was like, hey, this is great, we'll keep it on file. And then that's where we get the call to, literally out of nowhere, we're like, how do we, it kind of like, we're like, okay, like, is this
Like we
elite?
did stuff with Jeff Jarrett with
Yeah,
like, his
with
Global
Jeff
Force
Jarrett,
Wrestling.
yeah.
But it wasn't like, it didn't really like take off like we hoped.
Yeah.
But it was going to India, just doing this 3-minute fight scene with this star,
Yeah.
sending it to talent relations, and I don't know if that was exactly what they wanted, or it was timing, or kismet, or destiny, whatever you want to
Or
call it.
Hunter could have seriously been like, wow, these guys are coachable.
Sure.
Could be.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I told him to do this,
Yeah.
which is a big leap.
Yeah.
It's not like he
it's
just
like-
said, go from Chicago to New York.
Yeah.
No, he sent you to India.
Yeah.
And here you are living in a box with 5 other people.
Yeah, it's just-
and he's like, wow, this guy's committed.
Just trying to get here.
Yeah, he's doing whatever
Like
it
imagine
takes.
going to, like, hey, go become a Hollywood actor.
Right.
And then you have to go to LA and like, there's a gazillion people. How do you become a Hollywood actor?
Right.
And I just ended up working with one of the biggest movie stars who.
But I think everything, it all comes in, like, between us, doing our, showing up unannounced, and like obviously sending out emails, staying in touch. As long as you keep knocking on the
Everything.
door, something's
it'll-
gotta-
With a good attitude.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, not to get too like spiritual, but it's like I feel like God watches, and if you
Yeah.
put in the work, He meets you halfway.
Absolutely.
I do feel that because I mean, we
Luck
kept
and timing.
we kept working hard. Like again, moved to India, doing these tours, and then okay, just need that little bit of a
Yeah.
try this, and that's what Cruiserweight Classic was for us. It just happened. It just like
Yeah, you
after
just get
11
again.
years.
You get that email out of nowhere saying, "Hey, now we want to bring you in for the Cruiserweight Classic."
But the fact that you guys, you were out in the first round.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But for us,
But I think we knew that what we were brought
knew,
in for.
Yeah, we knew we were going in, and this was our make or break.
I think for us, we knew it was a tryout.
Yeah.
Like they had their
Okay.
guys who were gonna. I think this was them to bring in like, okay, let's see what else they can
Yeah,
do.
and we knew we're character guys, Lilian. Like we have the whole Bollywood spiel that we do the shtick, right? So like we knew as long as we show them character and show them that we know our basics and fundamentals, that as long as we just go out there and be ourselves, we should be fine.
Yeah.
And like my brother was just saying, for us that was our tryout.
I do remember walking away from the Cruiserweight Classic and be like, I think we landed jobs, and nothing was told us. I just that confidence and
You
like
felt it.
just
Yeah.
felt in our heart, and it was the coolest feeling. Like I think we delivered.
Because we
and,
brought a couple few.
and we kept getting brought back for like
Okay.
dark matches.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask how quickly from that.
That-
they
It was
bring you
really
back.
quick.
Yeah, CWC started June 2016. By October 2016, we had signed, and like
So tell me that feeling.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
man,
like,
I mean-
especially signing and being told that, hey, we're starting a new show based on all the cruiserweights called 205, and then, doing 205 Live and not knowing anything, because we just like literally had like a month and a half to pack up everything and move to Florida and buy up. I know I had to, like leave my wife behind, and she was holding it down there, and like not knowing what we were walking into, because
Right.
being from Canada, going to the States, you have no idea where to begin, where to start, where do we look for apartments, and then it was just a day-by-day trial basis.
It happened so fast
Yeah.
where even now it's like it wasn't like, oh my god, I signed to
Yeah, it
WWE.
wasn't- we didn't- it's
you know
not
what I mean?
like we
Like
cartwheels
all
or
these
jumping
years
jacks.
you've been like thinking about it, but
Yeah.
it's like in everything like we were like, hey, send in this stuff. Hey, can you send in your passport? Like like it was like
Yeah.
wasn't immediately told, but we kind of had this feeling like it's happening. Where then it's like, okay, it's happening. Where it's like,
And you
oh
know
my-
better than anyone. You've been here so long that where it's one thing to make it and it's one thing to stay here.
Oh,
Make sure
yeah.
the paperwork is
So-
through, right? And then
Yeah,
you don't want
and then you got to have the attitude
Yeah, and
and
it
the
wasn't
work
like
ethic.
it wasn't like
and-
we high-fived each other when we signed contracts. It was more like, okay,
And, I
that's
mean,
step one. Now we
Now we
what
got to
do
go
we do?
prove
And
ourselves.
that line, I remember we got a call from Edge
Yeah.
when we did sign.
Yeah.
And that's the line he told us. He's like, okay, congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
But it's now going to be a matter of staying here.
Yeah.
And he was great, but not like overly like, oh my God, you guys did it. Because
Right.
we've known him for a while, and I mean, he coached us along the way, but he never like, yeah, you did it. But it was like, okay, cool, congrats. But the real work starts now.
Yeah.
And now being here, I understand why he didn't like be like, overly enthusiastic, because it's like such a
Highs and lows. Yeah. Roller coaster. of life.
Dude, you know, yeah.
And you know better than anyone as well. Like this business and this company is all about longevity.
Yeah.
It's all about how, people are like, gimme, but you gotta like stay the
Yeah.
course. You gotta like, grind it out and show your worth
Right.
and prove your worth.
So when you guys got put together with Jinder
Yeah.
Mahal, and oh my God, you guys got to
But
championship
I do
status.
think before that, it's
Yeah.
like for us, and I've talked to my brother about this. Personally, for me, I had a bit of the Rocky Balboa syndrome. And what I mean by that, in the first Rocky, if you remember, all his life he says, I never got my shot, I never got my shot. And then he finally gets a shot.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, I'm not ready. I'm not good enough.
Ah.
And I know for me that's what kind of happened. And
Really?
when I, like, all my life, it was like, I want to make it to WWE, and like, you're confident you're doing it, and then you show up, and for me, it was like, I think I'm out of my league. And I had that, like, you know, just that self-doubt. And going to NXT and spending about 4 or 5 months there and working with Shawn Michaels, he helped build our confidence, because I know we were rattled on Robbie Brooks' side, because it was like, oh my God, you just show up, like, now you're expected to, you know, like, and it took us a while to get that confidence to be like, you know, we belong, and we deserve to be here, as opposed to just like, here we go, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank God for NXT.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I think
helped
it's
us a
such
lot.
an amazing platform.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had that. I was literally told at 3:30 in the afternoon of my very first day, "Oh, you're going to be ring announcing tonight.
Oh,
you are
God.
replacing
On the job
Howard
training,
Finkel."
basically.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, okay, how do you do that?
Yeah, especially for, like, you know, when the 205, the first episode, like,
Oh.
none of us had worked, like, or at least we hadn't worked what a hard cam is, or what, like, that camera angles are. So we were just
right.
going out, you know, just whoa.
Oh, they didn't teach that
No,
in
like,
NXT?
we didn't. No, once we got to NXT, they did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, but this
Before
is like
that.
before.
We did
Yeah.
205.
Yeah.
And it was like we did our last indie dates,
Yeah.
and we didn't go to
Right,
NXT. We just
right.
we all just went to
But
205.
spending time down in NXT was the best thing that ever happened for us. It really helped bring our confidence back and, like,
Yeah.
build the character and, you know, kind of like know who we are.
Yeah. So going back to Jinder, when you got put with Jinder, I'm sure you were excited at first.
Of course.
Elated.
Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't get to do a lot of wrestling
Yeah.
when you were with him. So how?
So, you know, it's funny, people always bring that up to us, but we knew, like, as long as we make the most of the roles that we're given, we'll be okay. And that's what we told each other. We're like, okay, we know we won't be wrestling in the ring at any time soon, but hey, if we're on the outside, we're going to study Bobby Heenan, we're going to watch the absolute best, and we're going to be those annoying guys that people want to see get our asses kicked.
I
And
remember again when we got, because it was like we were doing the Bollywood stuff in NXT, and felt like we did like the opening dark for NXT Takeover in Orlando. So we're like, whoa, that's a huge opportunity. There's WrestleMania weekend. So we felt like we were onto something. Then we got plucked. And I remember Sean telling us, he's like, make sure, like, if you're just doing one bump, everybody talks about that one bump. And I
Yeah.
feel like we did that, like, during our run. Like, there was a lot of small moments that turned to, you know, GIFs, and like people
Yeah.
talk like the cage bump, or like Randy throwing us on like, you know, on tables.
Right.
Like, we were able to maximize just one bump.
yeah, that was it. Just make the most of what we're given, and that was it. We did it with, you know, we were like, hell yeah, we're in the main event picture here.
Yeah.
You know, this is great. This is like, we're gonna make the most of it. We're gonna learn from the absolute best. Like, Jinder working with Randy was probably the best time, because we would listen to Randy and hear how he put the match together. AJ
Right.
and Shinsuke and all these guys. Cena, you know, he had a little run with Cena there, and like for us, we're like just telling ourselves, like,
Flies on the wall.
yeah,
Absorbing
yeah.
things.
We had the best seat in the house as far as learning. You know, you can't teach
Yeah.
that. So for sure, like, that 9-month run we had, like, absolute amazing time. As being with Jinder, like, people don't realize that we knew Jinder from our indie days up in Vancouver and Calgary. So our paths had crossed already, and so it wasn't like, oh, hey man, nice to meet you. It was like, hey, this is perfect. Like, we know each other.
Yeah.
Let's get going here.
Yeah.
So
And how crazy now that he's hurt,
Yeah.
which now has opened up an opportunity for you guys.
Yeah,
You
I
went
just-
back to 205.
yeah.
I think we all felt it was time, because
Yeah.
again, we want to evolve, and we were definitely like, we wanted to get creative.
And that split happened right before his injury too, actually. So it was
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
It
so
did. That's
just when
right.
the split happened, we got told we're going to 205, and we're like, we're ready for it. And this is what, you know, we had the best seat in the house as far as learning and hearing and soaking it all in. Now it's our turn for the next chapter. And like, going back to what I was saying, this company is all about longevity, and what do you do to stay here, and what do you do to belong? And now it's our turn to show and hopefully prove our worth, which I believe we are doing. Like, you know, we were like, man, we're just such creative guys as far as character goes. We're like, we gotta show them that, you know,
Yeah.
we can be different.
Yeah.
And that's what,
So talk to me about the video you guys did that The Rock saw.
Oh, man. So it's been like, we had, again, like, I remember being at WrestleMania this year, and then we had a great talk with John Cena, and he even, like, I think that was a pivotal shift in our careers, where, again, giving us that confidence, like, okay, you guys should be going down this route, and we spent so much.
What did he tell you?
Again, just taking this Bollywood character and how to make it legitimate.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that we're doing right now, which, again, he's such a smart guy, that we've implemented from what he's told us. And being heels,
just being more character driven.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
being able to
be
Over the top?
over the top, and it's okay if you're over the top, because for us, that's what our characters are. We're these Bollywood actors, you know, who think we're better actors than anybody else, which I think we are. But you know, even getting those Bollywood awards, like that's something we picked up from Owen Hart, and we're like, hey, he used to bring the Slammy always to the ring, but we're like, why not bring the Bollywood award?
I
to the
legitimately
ring?
won an award.
Yeah, you did.
You did?
But just small stuff like that, and you know, Cena again, he's been great with us, you know, giving us feedback on our promos and videos and stuff like. Going back to what you're about the stuff with The Rock, I think that was more like, hey, how can we take that trailer of Hobbs and Shaw and throw some Bollywood dancing into it?
Yeah,
so,
so
funny.
I mean, even he's, it's just like, I think he's been helping us
Yeah,
get our characters
I think
over.
he understands what
we're trying to
doing.
do, and it's been great that he's been like playing
that,
along
that
with it.
video that he did in the back, was that
No, I think
we just took pieces of
what he had already?
Bollywood music on it. Again, just trying to be
hilarious.
and that's what I feel like. I feel like what we're doing on our own right now, just if we can transit that to TV, I think it'd be so much fun. But I think that's a great thing about 205. It's like, okay, let's see what you can do, and once the act is perfected, you can.
I mean, 205 is a great, like, again, to what my brother's point, like, for us, just throw things on the wall, see what sticks. And I was just having this talk with Adam today. He's like, what you guys are doing right now, that's what him and Jay were doing on Sunday Night Heat back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like
yeah,
all that, like
true.
5-second pose stuff.
5-second pose,
that no one's watching, but if you start making noise, people are going to start hearing, people are going to start seeing. And, social media has been great for us for that stuff.
So like, I don't think there's enough eyes on 205 right now, but there's so much amazing stuff on there. And like guys like Ali and Cedric, now they're pulled up, and people are like, oh, these guys are great, but they were doing that already.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like hopefully we can, we're doing all these cool, entertaining vignettes. No one's really because it's, no one's really watching it, but we're trying to get it online. But the day it gets, the act's going to be perfect.
For us, social media has been great as far as doing that stuff. And I remember William Regal telling us in NXT, he's like, if you aren't booked on a show and you're not doing anything, always remember, there's cameras everywhere. They're always looking for content. They're always looking for footage for social media because the company's got the biggest following in the world.
Right.
So we've actually taken that and we were like, you know what, if we're never booked on a match or doing anything on the show, we're going to use social media. And Ali, again, it has been great. But I remember when he was 205, he was putting out these motivational videos. But that's who he is.
Yeah.
We, as Bollywood actors, what we do in the ring, we're just going to do over-the-top, annoying stuff, to annoy and, hopefully get noticed with that
I
stuff.
really feel in my heart it's some of the most entertaining stuff out there right now.
Yeah.
And I just want the day it's going to be on.
It goes through you can't sit back and be like, hey, your number, your call. You got to show them you want it.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing right now. We're just hungry for success.
I feel like this is the most fun we're having right now, though, because we're being creative. And
get to be ourselves.
How crazy, though. Think about this. Like, you go over there to India to become a Bollywood actor, and now you're a Bollywood actor in a different way.
I'm a huge star. But big fan following.
You mixed those.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
full circle.
I honestly feel like someday I could go back and get into movies. I feel like that's an ace card I have that I could do.
Is that in your heart? Like, do you?
Honestly, yeah. And because I've got the bug, and I'm one of those guys where I want to accomplish dreams. And my next thing is I want to be a leading man in Bollywood, and I genuinely feel I can do it more than anybody. Because even when I was in India, I was always going for lead actor roles.
Yeah.
Just the way my agent was getting me, and I was always getting auditions, and it was never for side roles or anything. I was always in the eyes of
So you're right there.
Yeah, and I could
I
feel
just
it.
want to be a leading heel. That's all I want to be.
Do you?
Yeah, no,
desire
of course.
to
If
be
that
Bollywood?
opportunity ever comes up, I would definitely take it. And I think him and I as brothers, I always tell my brother, I'm like, you know what? I think we probably have a better chance of first breaking into Hollywood, being ethnic and being East Indian brothers, because there's no market for that here.
Right.
Whereas Bollywood's already so saturated with so much talent. Where, I'm just
you never know.
You never know. Hollywood's obviously making that transition into different people. Like, look at Lily Singh getting your own talk show. That's huge.
know, that's amazing.
That's huge for us Indian people, right?
I mean, it all goes back to, I remember, again, when I was in India, and it was just like, your chips are down and no money. And I remember having this pivotal phone call with my dad, and I'll, again, never forget it, because he is my best friend, and he's always been there for us. And he was like, don't be a number, be a name. He's like, I've been a bus driver for 35 years. He's like, people are going to remember me as bus driver number 0354. Oh. He's like, be somebody they're like, oh, this is Samir Singh, where they remember you by your name, because if not, you're just going to become a number who gets filed within the taxes and everything. He's like, be a number, don't be a number, be a name. and
That's
I'll
so
never forget
crazy.
that.
Yeah, your dad has influenced you, and especially
100%.
having that conversation
Yeah.
with you as a kid so much. I'm sure that's even the tie to Bollywood, why it's so important
It
in
is.
a way.
It's in a lot of things. Yeah, because I want to be that guy who's able to accomplish every dream, you know, and not be able to just like.
I mean, even for us here, like we're far from where we want to be. Like obviously, right now we're just rocking and rolling in the ring, and you know our goal as kids was always to win tag titles. I know that's like a far-fetched dream, but like that's
It's
a dream.
not.
You know,
It's
but
closer than you think.
no,
Thanks.
you know what? Thank you.
You put
And
it into the universe,
yeah,
right?
It is.
Thank you.
It is closer. I can see you guys as tag team champions
Thank you,
instantly.
thank you. So like for us, it's like you know we have so many goals that we want to accomplish here. We want to be here for a long time, and that's one thing I always think to myself. People are like, going back with Jinder, they're like, don't you miss wrestling? Don't you miss being in the ring? It's like, yes, we do, but again, we have a role that we're playing. We're gonna make the most of it, and if the higher ups see that, hey, these kids are committed to what they're doing, and then it's on to the next, and the next, and the next. And again, you've been here all these years, and you've seen people come and go, and people that stay here the longest are the ones that have the, you know, are committed to what they're doing.
Not only committed, great attitude.
Yeah.
You guys have such a great attitude. Seriously, do you think that you owe that to your parents? Is that the way
for
they
sure,
are?
100%. Because again, just always supporting us and you know guiding us and telling us that you know again, hey, go to India. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Yeah.
like, I'll drive a bus while you struggle out there. You know, and
Yeah.
or just the stuff we've been through.
And growing up, it was just the four of us. You know, we didn't have much family in Vancouver. It was just the four of
Okay.
us. So it's like, you know, everything we did, whether it was watching wrestling or hockey or Bollywood movies, just the four of us. You know what I'm saying? So, parents definitely played a huge role where we are today.
What would you say, even before you got into wrestling, was some of your biggest struggles growing up? You know, the kids go through different
Yeah, I mean, I got
things.
bullied in high school.
You did?
Yeah, grade 8 was a hard year for me. I remember walking the hallways of my high school with a binder over my face, so the bully, she couldn't see my face.
Oh, it's a she?
Yeah, yeah.
She probably liked
yeah.
you.
Ah.
They say,
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, she was a lot older than me, but it's a long story. But like from where it was like it was almost set up from the get-go for me to retaliate.
I think it's okay for you to say it was cousins.
No,
that,
it was
a cousin?
Yeah, it was to
setting you up.
retaliate.
Oh,
to,
so never mind. To get
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the love out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
it's more to retaliate and like get expelled or whatever it was. But going back to like
She wanted to get expelled.
No, she wanted me to like retaliate and say something where like maybe the kids would come after me or whatever it
Right.
was, right? But it was just well, it wasn't just her, but it was a bunch of guys too. But yeah, I remember just grade 8, man, like just walking with a binder in front of my face just so the bullies couldn't see me. And I remember that would be the you know, showing up to my locker and in big letters saying F you, you know, like it's just like, whoa, like how do you know my locker? Well, I told my cousins where my locker was last night.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
just a
Yeah.
13-year-old kid, you know, trying
Yeah.
to fit in.
Do you talk to that cousin at all?
Very, very, very little.
Like it just...
Yeah, but it's like happened 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't know if you guys ever talked later, growing up, and...
no, I never
kinda-
brought it up. To be honest, it was just more like whatever. Yeah.
Interesting. So she doesn't even, like...
No, I don't even see that bully anymore. I don't even see like the people anymore. I don't know where they are, but like just going back to what you were saying as far as like you know, for me that was, I remember, a tough challenge just trying to fit in high school, you know, and like now it's like funny. I see people from high school like, oh, hey, what's up, buddy? Big arm around the shoulder, like
Crazy.
Yeah,
Now that you made it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. You live and you learn, but like obviously bullying is something that I stand up against.
That's good. Yeah. What about you?
I was really shy. I think for me, my biggest thing was like, I was never really good at anything. Like even when I played ice hockey, I was just the smallest kid. I was, I would never really accomplish anything. I wouldn't like win first place or anything. So like looking back now, it's like being able to, be in the WWE. And I think maybe when I was talking about my insecurity when I first came to WWE, kind of maybe drive from my childhood, like I don't know if I'm good enough. But now that I'm here and understanding your own strengths and also accepting your weaknesses, knowing I'm not the biggest guy and knowing I'm not the strongest guy, okay, but how do I make up for that? So it's my charisma, my personality, and
that's what we rely on in the ring too, like is our personality and charisma. Because I mean, we're surviving in a giant's world, you know. And
we're for cruiserweights, we're small, and we know that. You know what I mean? Like we're small guys, and again, from my childhood playing ice hockey to whatever, never very talented at anything, but somehow always finding a way to make it, you know. And I think that's something I've learned how to adapt and finding what it is that makes me different.
Yeah.
How have you been able to, or have you found that you self-sabotage at any time? Because sometimes if you have an insecurity, you will self-sabotage because it's like, it's so embedded that you think, let me prove it right. I'm going to do this self-sabotage. See, I told you I'm not good enough. I told you, you know. Have you found yourself to ever do that?
I remember I could talk about, I had a relationship where I did that, where when I was struggling in India, I was seeing a girl, and I remember when I wanted to take that step forward, I remember she looked me dead in the eye. I'll never forget it. She was like, I like you, you're charming, but you have nothing to offer me financially. And I was just, as a man, like, she's like, I'd be with you, but financially you're not there. And I was just absolutely heartbroken. And instead of letting that person go, it became this, I need to prove to this one person how good I am, that I'm a success. And I was sabotaging my own personal growth by not accepting, like, that person's not right for me and I need to move on and just focus on me. It became, I need to be successful, not because I love this or I want to achieve great things. I need to become successful so I can prove to this one girl that I am good enough.
Wow.
Right? And so...
what kind of journey did that send you on?
It was a rough few years, to be honest. Just because, again, when you're rejected based on your financial income, there's not much you can do. You know, if you're rejected based on your personality or something, you can change. Yeah. You know, but when you're rejected...
I mean, did it make you want to be more financially stable?
Yes, but I think for a few years it came from a wrong place. I need to become successful so I could show this one person how successful I am.
Because right now you're successful.
And now that person's been taken out of the equation, and you know, it's funny, I never even thought about this person, but now I'm thought about this person. Like, I am successful, and God willing, I am making good money, but I'm happy, you know, and it's not because I want to prove to this one person, look how much money I have.
You're doing it for yourself.
I'm doing it for myself, my parents, and it comes from a happier place, as opposed to let me show you how successful I can be. And that damaged me for a few years, but it's part of your personal growth and learning and moving on.
What a great lesson you're sharing, though. Because I'm sure there's somebody out there that is trying to prove to someone who has said, well, I'd love you if, you know,
when you're not
this one thing.
It's insecurities, right? You're just when told, hey, you're not good enough.
Yeah, I remember those insecurities also, like, as far as, like, being married and, like, trying to find that stable job. I mean, I remember, like, applying for policing at that. I was, like, just before CWC popped up, I had, like, sat down with a couple of the police forces because that was my backup.
Oh my God, it's kind of like Ali.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I never became a police officer.
Job.
But I was in the process of becoming a police officer, and I remember, like, you know, just wanting to, you know, obviously support my wife and have a stable income because we wanted to start a family and whatnot. So I remember going into, like, a couple of police department interviews, and the sergeant sitting there with me and looking me in the eye. They're like, we see everything that you've done, everything looks good, but how serious are you about this wrestling? Is this something you do as a hobby, or is this something that you want to fulfill? And I couldn't lie to myself. I told them straight up, I mean, wrestling comes first. That's still my ultimate dream, is to make it to the WWE. And I remember getting a phone call, email back saying, until you're 100% committed to us, we can't take you.
Right.
And this was just a year before CW. I get goosebumps talking about it, but this was just a year before, like, CWC, and, like, it was more like, you know, my wife, she, you know, God bless her soul, she's always been, like, supportive and been there for me, and she even told me, she's like, the reason you're not getting to the police department is because you're destined to be where I am now.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, it's amazing how, like, small things like that, because I see all my friends who were succeeding and applying for policing and getting in the department, and I'm like, what am I not doing? I got the education, I got the experience. Like, I mean, I will do the policing until the WWE stuff works out, but
it could have derailed you.
Yeah.
Right? It could have derailed your focus.
Yeah.
So thank God you didn't get in.
I remember applying for corrections too. Just anything in the law enforcement, because that was my backup.
Right, criminology.
But again, exactly, criminology. But again, it was more like, the reason I'm not getting into the departments is because I'm destined to be in the WWE.
Yeah. Wow. As a man, I want to know though, when you're not financially there and you do want to have a female and impress her and whatever, how does that feel? Here we are with the choo-choo train in the back. I love it. How does that feel? Like, how do you not let it eat you up to just take your whole, like, you know?
Man, that's a tough question, because being a married man who wasn't always financially secure, I would save every penny I made doing what the jobs I was doing to get to it. I remember doing like indie shots and coming home with an envelope and like, okay, this is what I'm gonna use to pay this mortgage or this payment. And for me personally, again, going back, like it was always like, okay, I gotta do this because my wife's been with me since my $50 a night day. So she's been with me since my indie days, right? So she never, you know, left my side, because she always told me it's gonna happen, right?
Wow,
so,
an amazing woman.
Yeah, so for me, it was like I made every penny and I saved it. We, you know, just, you know, for me it was like more like I gotta do it for her because she's been with me for so long. So I never lost that motivation. Like, oh, maybe it's not meant to be. Obviously, you feel like, God, you know, like I wish I can give her
But
this.
does it hurt when I say that? Does it destroy your self-esteem a little bit? Like, what kind of hit does your self-esteem?
Honestly, I'm being honest with you, I never did. It just motivated me more.
Okay.
It just motivated me. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get there. And I never had that doubt in my mind. Like, we're not gonna be where we are.
What about you, Samir?
I think I got my confidence when I came to WWE, as far as just, you know, I couldn't talk to, you know, when my stuff, like when I was really down and out, that stuff really derailed me. And so coming to WWE and learning not to define that as you as a human being also, but also learning to like, okay, now I can, like I bought my parents a house in Orlando.
Oh,
that was one of the greatest feelings ever, like for their retirement. It is nice. You know, it is, I think it is okay to live life king size.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also.
You're doing it respectively?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but you also, you know, you gotta learn to indulge in yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
I just remember hearing like other people always say, it's not what you make, it's what you save.
Yeah.
That's the mindset I
What
always
you
have.
make is what you save.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Especially in this business.
Yes, sir, everybody. So after this business is over, because you know at one point or another it's going to be over.
Yeah.
What have you guys thought of what you do after that? What's the because it's always good, and the more we talk about, the more interviews I'm having, with superstars that have been there and here and have left, the more the conversation is going into the transition. Santino Marella is a perfect example. Just had him on Chasing Glory, and he talked about how he was already thinking about his school and started putting his school together and all that, because then he had the neck issue, right?
Yeah.
And he says, you got to have some kind of transition.
And to be honest with you, Lilian, like, that's something I struggle with. I do. I don't know. I know his is like acting, and like, for me, I said maybe acting, but I don't know if that's for me. Like, I still struggle. Like, what do I do after this? I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, so instead of trying to just like figure it out right now, maybe just to be like, I am open to the answer.
Yeah.
Instead of you trying to figure it out.
Sure.
Put it out there. I'm open to the
open to the
answer.
answer.
And just trust that the answer will come.
Oh.
Yeah, but know that it's an important thing to also. It's not saying that you're focused on not being here a certain time. Not at all.
Yeah. I think I'm so focused on achieving so much here that
that's great.
I haven't thought about.
You can just have it in the back of your mind, or do. It's almost like you have that. Oh, okay, this is what I'll do. Okay, now let's just keep focusing here. But then I know that this is what you know the plan will be.
Sure.
Kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's the biggest. Oh my God! It's just the transition.
Yeah.
The transition I'm seeing, and that's why a lot of wrestlers.
It's scary to even think about it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but you got to try to think about it in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And to be honest, like I've never, again, I feel like for me when I say acting, it doesn't come from like this realm, like, oh, this is what I do. Like I look back at the last 10 years, again, when I had nothing, I pursued it, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me, it always comes from like, if you put me in front of a camera and a big movie director was sitting there and it's like, hey, these are these lines in Hindi, which is my third language.
Wow.
I know I could sit there, memorize it, and deliver it. It doesn't come from this like world of like, oh, I think I can do this. It's in my heart,
It's
where
in your heart.
I know I can do it, and I'm putting it on the camera. Like tomorrow when it happens, I know I can deliver.
Yeah.
Because I've prepared myself for it.
Right.
Again, like we talked about The Alchemist, putting things into the universe. you know.
So that's what I'm saying. He's got to just put it in the
Yeah.
universe. It will come.
Yeah.
It will come.
Yeah.
If you just be open to it. Right now, you're so close because you're like, oh, I can't think of that because I got to focus on
I think that's the
right?
that's the problem I have is like, okay, we gotta get the tag title, we gotta do this.
Yeah, you're almost thinking like you're cheating too if you start thinking of that, right?
Exactly.
But it's not like that. And you just need abundance. We live in an abundance.
Yeah.
Okay? So just know that you can think of...
Is that because you come from an era where you think it was a hard transition for your generation?
Absolutely.
Like, going back to civilization and seeing what...
Absolutely.
Generally still, like, I don't think...
It
like,
is just more and more, I think the transition has shown that it is brutal in any sport, especially. In any sport. You've got baseball players, football players, or, wrestlers, all of that. Limelight, all of this, and then sometime it's gonna end.
Eventually
It's gonna end eventually, okay? Hopefully it's 20 years from now, right? But then that, like, what do you do? And so even for me, like, I was at WWE, but luckily I had singing that I was already still doing.
Yeah.
I have, hosting that I was doing, so I could transition to hosting to somewhere else, hosting this show.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a natural progression for me because I've kept all those things going.
I know together we've always like, hey, maybe opening up a wrestling school one day.
Yeah.
Maybe in India, like having one there, having one in Canada, maybe something along that line.
That's great, and that's what I mean.
And we'll see what exactly.
It doesn't mean you go start
Exactly.
it now.
Yeah. No, I got you.
But just knowing, hey, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now let's focus on this.
Yeah.
Always.
Right?
So there's times I catch myself when I get to a hotel room, I'll put on a Bollywood movie, and I'll let the lines go, pause it, and I'll recreate the scene.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
it'll be like 1 a.m, just so I keep my acting.
Smart.
And it sounds funny and
Yes.
stupid.
But
where
that's going to help you even in your
'cause
acting here.
we're a little different like that because I'm always like, even with WWE Studios, I don't know, tomorrow something like, you guys got to go do an audition. And you can't, for me, I just want to be on my toes and, and it's just.
What you need to think about it, Sunil, is like a hobby. You just need a hobby.
Yeah.
You cannot consume 24/7 wrestling.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I got you.
I think when he does that, that's a sense of release.
Yeah.
That's a sense
I
of...
watch Bollywood movies, that's
Right.
for sure. But maybe to his point, like maybe practice lines.
Practice lines,
more
practice
Bollywood
dancing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta dance in Bollywood.
I got that down.
Okay, then do more dancing. Just something to
Yeah.
have a release
Yeah.
because I'm telling you, it's gonna help your wrestling.
Yeah. No, and don't get me wrong. Again, like with my law enforcement background, maybe one day that's something I could. Our East Indian community back home has a big gang drug issue problem within the community of young kids, and I've always thought about like helping young youth, stay out of that.
Great.
So that's something I've always thought about, and I'm like, especially having the platform that we have.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right.
Why not help the young generation and get them to move away from that negativity and focus on their dreams, their goals? Because I love seeing the kids that are coming up, especially in our East Indian community, who are telling me, hey, we're going to university on a hockey scholarship. And I love those stories.
Yeah.
And our community has seen a lot of like damage happen to it. So that's something I've always, there you go. Maybe I just came up with something.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
All right, high
There you
five.
go.
Now you put it in your compartment.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to,
Yeah.
whatever, but you
Yeah.
have it in your compartment.
There you go. And when the time comes.
When the time comes, you can take it out of your drawer and do that.
There you go.
Now you focus on that, now you can breathe.
Man, this really gets raw. It really does. Makes me think. I haven't thought like that before. Seriously.
Yeah, but now it's almost a sense of relief.
Yeah.
But it's okay to think like that.
Yeah.
It's not, and I just because
my eyes got like full of, like I was fighting back tears thinking what I want to do after this. 'Cause I don't know what to do. Seriously. I was like, damn, what do I want to do?
But now that you've figured it out,
'cause I think we
then
focused-
you can breathe.
Yeah.
Because now this is great, and you want to work here for a long time, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But you can't make it the end all be all,
Yeah.
right? In case something happens, it's like okay, not saying it's going to, but it's just nice to have that step.
There you go.
Awesome.
Oh,
you guys are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I want to ask you as we wrap this up, has your chase for glory looked the way you thought it was going to look?
Man, yeah, like it's been surreal. Like it's hard to put into words. Like
It hasn't been smooth, that's for sure.
Like
it's been like, which is great, honestly. I'd rather struggle and climb and crawl our way to the top rather than just like, hey, here you go.
I think for me, recently it really clicked for me. Again, talking about Bret Hart, and he's been such an inspiration to us, and he's been very great to us recently, and we met him, and I remember when he met us, the first thing he said, he's like, if there was two guys that I was really happy that made it, it was you two.
Aww.
And that just made me like I was just full of like.
How was that? Like you
like
watched him growing up, and
and
you've met him, you've talked to him.
He kind of knew us since our indie days, and when he said that, I'm like, that just doesn't get any better than that, you know.
Yeah.
And he also told us straight up, he's like, enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
He's like, save your money, enjoy. And it's so easier said than done, but when you think
It
about
is.
it, you're like, man, this like really we should be.
You know you're going to be giving that advice later
Yeah.
on to somebody
Yeah.
else too.
Yeah.
So seriously, I know it is easier said than done, but hopefully when you do interviews like this and you talk about your journey and all that, you go, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would even tell you guys, on your rides, instead of talking about what you're going to do next, start talking about reflecting on things that you have gone through and made, because that's how you start enjoying the ride and
100%.
appreciating the journey and the struggle and, wow, can you believe we did this?
Yeah.
And it's okay to pat yourself on the back too. There's some people that won't. They're like, no, what's next? What's next? And that's scary when you don't like.
And sometimes
yes,
I think
I
we
did
find
that.
ourselves doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, bro, we did this. Now we gotta go do this next. You
And
know?
I would say, stop yourself
Yeah.
from going to the next
Yeah.
and literally just be like, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. And then talk about that moment, what it felt like, whatever. That's when you will really appreciate the journey all
I think
the way.
sometimes we get that real like, oh my God, we're here moment. And sometimes when we're standing in Gorilla just before we go out. Seriously, I sometimes think to myself, we're literally standing in front of the as high, you know, like the who's who of the business sitting right here. And like you think to yourself, like there are 1,000 people that want to be standing in Gorilla right to go out there.
Yeah, I think you get lost in like, I want to get over and hope, you know, and we're still in that process of like really clicking with the crowd. And sometimes you beat yourself over the head with like, how do I click with the crowd? How do you know, get to that level where it's like you walk down the street and everybody's just swarming you, right? And it's easier said than done, but again, it's okay to not always think about that.
But to your point,
right?
let's reflect on what we've done and where and everything we've done to get to where we are.
You know how you're going to click to the crowd? Continuing to be yourself like you were right now in this interview.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you guys have such an amazing attitude, work ethic, just your energy, your aura, everything, that will make the fans go, yes, let's pull for them.
Not right now, though.
But it's good to, I know, but it's good to love to hate you too.
Yes. People don't like our tassels.
It's also very, very Tesla.
Don't hassle the tassels.
That's funny. All right, give us your social media so we know how to follow you.
On Instagram, I am at HarvSihra, that's HarvSihra _WWE.
Instagram at GurvSihra, GurvSihra_WWE, and our collective Twitter at Singh Bros WWE.
Awesome. Do you find it that it's hard because you guys are using your real names on Instagram?
No, I mean,
It still has Sunil and Samir on like the handle, on the bio,
good. It's just
but
your real
like just the
it's
handle.
smart.
it's 2019.
I think it's smart.
Everybody knows, right?
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you. Thanks.
Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
And there you have it. Samir, Sunil, you guys are incredible. Thank you so much for being so real, raw, inspiring, as we say here, because your story is incredible. And the fact that you're sharing what all your struggles have been to this day, incredible that you guys are still going for it. I love your energy. Keep it up, because more than anything, your heart is amazing. Love you. All right, guys, make sure that you tag a friend, that you let people know about this. I'm sure it's going to help somebody out there. Make sure that you subscribe to the show, review the show. We love those 5-star reviews because we put them up every Saturday for 5-Star Saturday, so you could be picked. So just go to Apple Reviews and just go ahead, type away. All right, let us know what you think of the show. Follow the show at Chasing Glory on Instagram, at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. Remember that you can see the show right now. You can see the premiere of Ford versus Ferrari right behind me. You never know if you might catch a glimpse of Christian Bale and Matt Damon. Yummy. Okay, So make sure you guys tune in for that. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Lilian Garcia. All right, I'm going to go into the premiere because it is time to sit down and get a little action with those motor cars going on, all right? In the meantime, guys, much peace, love, and passion to you. And remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough. See ya.
Thanks for joining us here on Chasing Glory from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends and be sure to subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite shows.